Welcome, welcome, guys. Hope everybody is well. Hope everybody is well. So we've had, just got a couple more people here, and then I'll let them in. We've had an exciting morning this morning. I've had a lot of questions actually about this too, about obviously why things are doing what they're doing, why they're not doing other things. So we're going to go over the whole, the whole, de-escalation. All right. Because one common question that I have been asked, we'll go over everything afterwards, but obviously one common question that I've been asked is why is gold, supposedly pumping when obviously, when dollar is dumping, it's, risk is back on, stocks are up. All right. One thing that we've got to realize, and obviously everything is, completely different. All right. So any kind of escalation in anything, we've got to really, really think about. All right. What is pumping when things are escalated? All right. And I think we can all agree in this in during this war, yields have been pumping. The dollar has also been pumping. But what's been the main driver? Normally any other war, yeah, yes, gold would be flying, all right? But obviously this is a war about oil, all right? So the main denominator here is oil. You can see here it's dropped 13% today or this morning, so crazy. So that's obviously where, when it's escalated, money is going to flow because naturally, if there's less oil on the market, the price of oil is going to go up. So oil is more expensive. Yeah. So, we've then got to look into what does everyone buy oil in? What's oil bought as? Oil is bought in as dollars. All right. So naturally, everyone's buying oil anyway. And if oil is more expensive and it's priced in dollars, then obviously the dollar is going to fly up too. But obviously it has the obviously opposite effect when we have a de-escalation. Oh, sorry, just got rid of someone. There we go. Yeah, it has the opposite effect when we have a de-escalation. All right, or sorry, yeah, where it will tail off. All right. Just like, stock markets, companies rely on oil. Naturally, if oil's cheaper, companies going to be able to run at a higher profit. All right. So that is why I wouldn't say gold is pumping. I wouldn't say gold is flying. I'd say gold is recovering to about where it's supposed to be. All right. I don't see gold, hitting all-time highs because of this. I just see it as recovering. And I don't see the dollar probably dumping much below, 98 500. We've obviously had this huge dump off. Um, and yeah, we've obviously just gotta monitor it. All we can do this morning is, think about, and obviously we have to do this all the time. What is our highest profitability trade, in regards to trend, in regards to, macros. So actually macros are very, very easy this morning. We've had a de-escalation. It's fresh. All right. So we're obviously not going to be looking at, right, you know what, it's dumped, it's got to retrace, it's got to fill this gap. All right. This gap will be filled over time. All right. But it's not, something that we're going to look, to obviously buy here because it's crazy, right? Because, markets have clearly, shown us that obviously, risk is, yeah, but there's a little bit more risk appetite in the markets. All right. So obviously that's one thing that we have got to be aware of. All right. So our highest probability, macros is to trade obviously the de-escalation, because that they've already told us it's going to be like this for 2 weeks now. All right. So our highest probability is to, sell the dollar. All right. Same thing in regards to, yields, selling yields. Same thing in regards to oil, selling oil. All right, so that's our highest probability. All right, we've then got to look at trend. All right, so if we just mark out this trend, all right, that's been trend. Potentially could have. It's been messy, as you can see here. All right, but obviously we have had this happen here. Yeah. All right. So what's happened to trend is changed, right? So obviously we got to bank the highest probability is that this will continue until there's some other news. All right. But it's not the nicest morning because this is a huge move. All right, this move here is massive. If you look at how long it took to get here, so if we go back from the 23rd right the way up to the 30th, all right, so 7, 8 days to climb all of this, and we've just dumped it within about 3 hours, so that's obviously what makes this morning a little bit tricky, and that's why I've kind of, relaxed a bit. We had a really, really good day yesterday, so we're obviously not under as much pressure this morning. Um, let's now have a look into what we've got today. All right. So we've had a bit of house data from the UK. We got European non-monetary policy meeting, not really that important. We don't have a lot happening today, potentially crude oil inventories. We got some PMI data as well, but nothing really, major. So until obviously a bit later on. But what we do have this week is we've got CPI data. I think that's on Friday. I might be lying. Yeah, Friday. So obviously this is core inflation data. So this is obviously what the markets are probably going to be angling towards. Pricing in. Right now because obviously the de-escalations happened. Um, it is what it is, and yeah, so that's gonna be the kind of continuation, mark as to what is happening. So it's now going to be right. What inflation data is going to play a bit of a factor here. So we're going to make sure that we have a look into what is going to happen here, right? So how that's obviously how we're going trend. That's how we're going macros. All right, it's a little bit more obvious this morning, but obviously you've got to have this, view every single day. So without even looking at a chart, we obviously know that we want to sell the dollar. All right. So if we go on pound, which we're just about to tap into our trade, which is, nice. It's all about, where well, once you know the direction, it's about when and where you're going to take a trade. You've got to be realistic, and this also depends on your risk appetite too. All right, so we've just had GBP USD tap, so I'm just going to put that in the group for anyone who's not on here. GBP USD zone triggered. All right, there we go. Um, so I went for a bit. I didn't actually think it was that aggressive. We've obviously, if we scroll this over, we've obviously had a lot of support here or resistance previously. Do I think there's enough strength to track down to probably this would be my next area. Do I think there is enough dollar strength to track down here? No. All right. So obviously that's why we've gone a little bit more aggressive. So yeah, we've obviously had a trigger this morning. Euro hasn't triggered yet. We're just looking on this continuation, but not taking the piss too much, to obviously try and get a huge trade out. We've got Aussie about to trigger. We got gold pretty close to triggering too, and USDJPY is pretty far off already. What's interesting about yen is this is purely de-escalation. All right, so if we go towards everything else, so Swiss up on yen, pound up on yen. Euro about break even on yen, NZD up on yen, Aussie up on yen. So it's not yen strength. It's so the kind of this has obviously eased them in regards to intervention because we know that this 160, which obviously tapped. We obviously know that that is a worrying area anyway. So, don't think that this move here is a yen intervention because it's not. So yeah, let's wait and see what happens. Hopefully, we get a few triggers this morning. I think we're placed in the correct areas. I'm happy. So I think dollar's got potential to come in and test 99. Not worried about that at all. I kind of hope it does because then it's going to trigger all of our pairs. But yeah, let's wait and see. Obviously, what happens here. Will it break and then hold? I'm kind of anticipating us holding in this area here for the time being. I don't think we're going to have any crazy moves anywhere until Friday. So, it could be a bit tricky tomorrow, leading into Friday, but let's wait and see what happens here. So, does anyone have any questions or have I covered everything to an absolute T? I'll wait a minute or so for anyone who wants to ask anything. If not, we'll end it here. We'll get cracking. And yeah, it'll be good. Yeah, I've kept everything a bit tight. So I'm going aggressive. I'm going aggressive every day. Like I'd said, like yesterday morning, I actually chose for the first time in a while not to trade in the afternoon because I just wanted to. Yeah, we smashed it. It came down. It was horrible market conditions. So yeah, I kept the big account nice and clean. Yeah, and it was going well. So yeah, don't don't be scared. But it's not. Everyone presumes that right, we've had this has happened, that's happened. It's a great time to trade. Sometimes those are the worst, because lots of guys, are going to be trying to sell here, trying to catch the top. All right. But you've got to, that's okay if you're a scalper, but as an intraday trader, we've got to be aware that there's been a massive candle happen here. All right. So, we've got to anticipate by obviously judging on the dollar. This area is our key area here. All right. That's our key area. If this holds, everything should trigger and then we should tail off nicely. And obviously, that's what I'm kind of hoping. So yeah. Um, right then. Well, if there's no more questions, I'm going to end it here. Have a great day, everyone. I've got to drive to go and get my kids, and then we're going to pack, and then I'm flying to Palma or Mallorca tonight. So yeah, should be nice. So I'll be doing this live from Palma tomorrow morning. But what's nice is obviously get an extra hour in bed because I'll be doing it at 9 o'clock. So yeah, nice. Every cloud. Right. Have a great day, everyone. And yeah, I'll keep you updated and let's smash it. Have a good one, guys.